everyone. This is Katherine Johnson, and with me I have my lovely audience. So we have Mr. Wesley, we have Mr. and Mrs. Reedon, we have Ms. Johnson, and we have Mr. Jane. So today, people, we will be talking about how to become a clinical psychologist. So in life, I believe that it's essential to learn to find out who you are and how to obtain knowledge and then give it back to the rest of the world to help change it for the better. And for me, becoming a clinical psychologist completes a drive for one out of the many purposes in my life. The field itself is known to be extremely competitive and challenging to get into. So coming into this, you need to be very determined and headstrong. So statistically speaking, this occupation is dominated by white males. With that being said, I choose to compete against myself because there are no limitations on your success. For those that may not know, a clinical psychologist is basically a broad branch of psychology that focuses on treating the diagnosis of mental illness, emotional and behavioral disorders, according to careersinpsychology.org. The steps in becoming a clinical psychologist deals with very limited and specific in order to become an official one. Generally needed, the criteria is listed is a high level in education, in psychology, training, and being a certified counselor. So without these three things, you won't be able to further it. And as stated by howtobecome.org, the steps in becoming a clinical psychologist is completing your bachelor's level degree, master's, and/or doctoral degree. A completed clinical training is expected in order to stay licensed. So, in going in further and more to detail, a doctoral ranges from about 5 to 7 years. So that's how long it would take in order to become an official clinical psychologist, if required, most likely by getting your doctorals, according to ABA.com. And the master's level is also required of supervision by someone who is of a doctoral status. So if you have your master's, you won't be able to not do it if you're not supervised. You need somebody of a higher doctoral status in order for you to even get experience. So a comprehensive exam is also required, and to write and defend a dissertation along with a completed one-year internship, as stated by APA.org. As for short-term goals in becoming a clinical psychologist, I intend to complete my 4 years in bachelor's, and to, as far as long-term, to finish grad school in order to receive my master's degree, and then finish my doctoral's level. And also, if you want to know, an example of a licensed clinical psychologist would be Miss Leslie, who is a psychiatrist who owns her own firm dealing with clinical psychologists. So before she owned her own firm, she had to follow these very same steps, in which I plan on doing so as well. So according to Learn How to Become, once receiving licensure, the most important thing a clinical psychologist can do is retain their license, which is very hard in doing. It's also mandated at state level to continue education, because it's a vital component into becoming a clinical psychologist in this career. The hours required vary by state, so clinical psychologists will need to keep track of the requirements in their jurisdiction once licensed. So without this, you wouldn't be able to. And thank you. This is Katherine Johnson, and along